Hello, my friends, and I hope you're having a fantastic day. We're going to go back, like I said, on Monday and look at where Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 has popped up. Now, I do want to start with the fact that for those of you who are upset about the direction of the game, about things they added, specifically anything gay, you have every right to feel the way you feel. I'm not going to argue with you about that situation because for me, I don't approach role-playing games in the same way, no matter what the role-playing game is. But I accept the fact and understand the fact that you come at it a different way. More importantly, I can understand people who feel betrayed by the lore previously and having it retconned. Now, whether I agree with it or not is an entirely separate issue. I don't have to agree with it. You still get to feel the way you feel about it because it's your wallet. You get to decide if you're going to spend that money or not. And if you don't spend that money, for one, it's none of my business. And for two, you have every right not to. So I'm not here trying to convince anybody to buy the game or not. I am just here exploring curiosity. My own curiosity. It's part of the point of the channel. All that said, I did put out a tweet on Twitter or a post on X, whatever the fuck you want to call it, because I was curious. In the past, when something particularly woke or otherwise would start to fail, you would have basically groups of raving lunatics wandering from post to post as people talked about it, screaming about how it should have gotten a better chance, about how terrible the people who didn't want to play it are, etc., etc. And I was curious just because, sometimes things on either side of the line rhyme, to see what was going on with this. And I am absolutely thrilled to see that people aren't particularly going after each other just because somebody else enjoys the game or somebody doesn't enjoy the game. As far as the answers to my tweet went, with a few exceptions for the people who apparently misunderstood what I was asking, everybody basically said, I'm not upset with what other people do. It's their money. They can spend it if they want to. This is how I feel about it. This is why I feel that way. And for me, yeah, that's cool. I'm totally 100% for that, and I'm also completely for them voicing their opinions as loudly as they want. What I'm not for is disingenuous presentation of facts, but we'll get to that point in a moment. As I said on Monday, we're looking at the reviews, the user reviews specifically, for Kingdom Come Deliverance now that people are capable of reviewing. And you'll see right now you have an 8.8. Of the 421 users who have reviewed the game, 88% think it's great, good, positive, whatever you want to call it. Only 10% at this stage feel that it is bad or negative. And scrolling through the reviews on Metacritic, the first one, I find this kind of amusing. The game is pretty good, but I don't want to always be thinking about how the hell to avoid a scene that I don't even want to see. And that's annoying that you always have to think about how to avoid that scene. Now, I'm going to be entirely honest. If you can't figure out that the choices that you are making are leading you to a gay romance, you might need to sharpen your radar a little bit. But I do understand. I do understand that some people don't even want to risk it. And, you get to feel that way. That is absolutely a valid way to feel. This person's apparently upset about the way the game director's been conducting himself on Twitter, which is absolutely a valid criticism. Honestly, if there was a reason for me to specifically choose not to play the game, it is the way the game director has been acting on Twitter. I don't like the pretentiousness he displays. While I understand he loves the product he put out and he very much is proud of it, and he doesn't like being attacked, who does? The way he's handling it is absolutely inappropriate and just continues to stoke the fires. If anything, I imagined the first day could have been better if he hadn't been so negative and attacking. Now, as far as I'm concerned, the first day was pretty good. It sold over 1 million copies. We'll look at the Steam DB in a little bit here in a moment. But, it didn't fare poorly its first day. It just didn't. No matter how you try to slice that cake, it comes out just fine. I have seen, as I've gone through the reviews, a number of people complaining about bugs, the clunky battle system, Some people think the story's boring, which, I mean, if you're having a historically fiction game, you're going to always have somebody who finds the story boring. And plenty of conversation about the save system, which apparently people have a dislike for. A lot of people are very upset about the length of time the tutorial takes. I saw George Alexopoulos say that it took him like 3 hours, meaning it takes you past the Steam window to return your game. That's not very fair. This Cosmic Craig says the original tried to stay more true to history. However, it seems the devs wanted a more modern take on this, full of historical inaccuracies, and makes the story kind of silly at times, like something out of a Netflix series. The gameplay is still fun, and they added quite a blank. Seems they didn't listen to the previous complaints of the game becoming super easy. You basically become unkillable really fast again. Overall, it's less for history fans and more for fans of modern dramas loosely based on the time period. Wouldn't recommend to anyone interested in it for history. This one is meant for a more casual and broader audience. And honestly, that is something we discussed yesterday, where as a game company gets more popular, they have a tendency to try to cater to a larger, broader audience because they always want to bring in more people. It's always about the next profits, not understanding in many cases why the actual game itself had the popularity it had, and the fact that what they're doing will likely damage the fan base they've already curated. There's some kind of blindness that goes along with trying to make more money, and it's unfortunate. But really, you see the same complaints over and over again about the bugs, graphics, optimization, and of course the fact that they feel lied to by the game director. However, that contingency seems to be in the minority, and I have a reason why that probably is, but first let's look at Steam. Here on Steam, you'll see that there is a very positive rating with 8,540 ratings. Overall, there's about 11,530 reviews, 10,686 of those are positive, and only 844 are negative. You have, for the negative reviews, you have people remarking that the plot line is repetitive. Here you have a statement that the only romance for the main character is a homosexual one. I am curious if that's actually true or not, but we'll find out as other people play the game. A bug about being marked if you get in trouble for not getting caught in the act of stealing. Motion sickness. Someone upset because of the way the game director put his opinions out on Twitter, which I had already said that was definitely going to cause a problem. People who still don't like the battle system, and they didn't in the first one. Here you have a fellow who says that the developer lied and hid the gay, that Henry and Hans are gay, that there's a gay sex scene. Apparently he's really upset about the gay, and I understand many people are, and I've already addressed that. Tired of the woke. The game feels unfinished. There's bugs that need to be fixed. Apparently not good optimization. Some of the high-end gear was a pre-order bonus that they didn't know about. Systems being dumbed down. Those are the negative reviews. I've seen a few posts on Twitter or tweets on Twitter, whatever the fuck you want to call it, about reviews being censored if they mention being lied to or woke or whatever. That is perhaps true. I've only seen the one down below where they said that the guy lied. Though I think I did see someone somewhere in here. Though I do think I did see somewhere else in here where they said if the game director had been honest, they wouldn't have bought. Actually, yes, it's in this one right here. Had the devs been more clear about how prevalent their injection of modern worldviews are, I would not have purchased. So, and like I've said, that's a fair assessment. I have no issues with people who feel that way. And yes, I'm overemphasizing the fact that I understand that because a lot of people are really up in their feelings about this. And I don't want to spend my time arguing with people who are up in their feelings about this because that's not what I'm interested in. If you are up in your feelings about it, I understand. I get it. If you want to argue with somebody about it, there are plenty of people who will do that. I am not the person. And the positives are just about what you would expect, so I'm not even going to go over that. Now, there has been some interesting discussion on Twitter. And for that discussion, I'm going to go ahead and pull up the SteamDB results. As of right now, there's 100,000 people playing the game. At 2 a.m. Mountain Time, there are 100,000 people playing this game. That's actually pretty good when you consider that just the other night, the low was 8,500, that the peak Yesterday was 159. The peak today in the last 24 hours is 176,285. And the fact that the game has sold over 1 million copies already. While I wouldn't necessarily call it a blockbuster event, I would definitely say the game is at least doing well. Apparently some people don't agree. Now, there's more than one person saying this. I just have this specific person pulled up because at the time I was going to make the video, he was the easiest one to find. I should have bookmarked them throughout the day as I found them, but I'll be honest, I got lazy. But there are indeed people trying to claim that the game is a flop. The game is not going to make it, guys. This is a Concord-esque. No, I'm kidding. I can't go that far. I was trying to make the joke, but it just wouldn't work because that's too ridiculous. But apparently, because it couldn't make over 200,000 concurrent players on Steam alone on the second day, which is a Wednesday. It is an adult-themed game, and many adults have to get up and go to work in the morning, that it is a get woke, go broke moment. And while I understand the desire to see something that made you upset fail, this is not the case, unfortunately for you. If your hope was that the game would utterly flop because you didn't like whatever the developer put in, that's not happening this time. On one hand, I kind of feel like I should apologize to you because I know that you're bothered by the situation. But on the other hand, it's not my fault. I don't have anything to do with this. I'm just giving you the information. So take that as you will. At the very least, this game is going to profit. It's going to make a decent profit, and Warhorse Studios is going to get to carry on and make the next game. Now, where we'll really see how this affects it going forward is when it does develop that next game. Because so many of you now have that nasty taste of betrayal in your mouth that you will not be willing to come back for the next game. And many people have seen the behavior of the game director as well. Now, will that make a difference? Well, unfortunately, many of us are terminally online, and we forget that the majority of the world really isn't. You have to keep in mind, Twitter is not real life. Most gamers really aren't on Twitter smurfing for information that the game devs are giving on the game. Many people who picked up the game today to play it probably had no idea about the drama on Twitter. And so what you will see is that the game's okay. I mean, not in terms of holding it to a specific standard, Gamergate standard, whatever you want to call it. But from a normie point of view, somebody who's not worried about a cultural war or anything else, the game's okay. They can enjoy the gameplay. They can enjoy the story. It works well enough on their hardware, on their software, whatever. And they're having fun. Because that's really what they care about. That's the majority of people in the world. And it always has been. That's why those other games that, we constantly barked about didn't do well, because they weren't good. Not just because of the woke. It was because, and once upon a time, people used to say this, it was because they were just not good games. Part of the reason they weren't good games was the woke, but it wasn't the only reason. And now we've progressed to a point where we're going to have the Baldur's Gate 3 situations, the Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 situations, where there's something in the game that specific people don't like, or maybe someone you don't, or maybe someone who is considered an enemy of gamers in the past are involved, and people want to boycott it. But the people who want to boycott it are the small terminally online group and not the overall normie population. And that is part of why I like looking at this way, because this tells me what kind of the temperature of the normie population is. And the temperature of the normie population is basically, if I don't have to play the gay sex scene, I don't really care. It's the same reason why so many people love the Hobbit trilogy and I want to strangle them, because they don't understand what's wrong with the Hobbit trilogy. And we don't want me discussing what's wrong with the Hobbit trilogy either, because that would be a very long conversation. Just understand that that book is not long enough for 3 movies. And we'll end it right there for now. But yeah. So the game is doing at least okay. I'm not going to call it, like I said, I'm not going to call it a blockbuster. The normies have accepted it. It's going to profit. Warhorse Studios is probably very happy at this point in time. A number of people are very upset. And some people are just delusional. Don't be delusional. It is okay if you are mad at this game. It is okay if you don't want this game. And it is okay if other people do. It's something that we all have to work on, is letting other people just enjoy the games that they want to play and voting with our wallets. That doesn't mean you can't speak up and say there's something wrong with that you don't like, because you never know when it will resonate with other people and make them think about something a little different. It didn't this time, and that's okay. All that said, I've said a lot here. I want to know what your guys' thoughts are on it. Do you disagree? Do you agree? Do you need to talk more about the fact that you're so disappointed about the game? You know what? Go ahead, let it out in the comments. Like I said, I'm not going to argue with you. I'm not the person for that. But I will listen to you. I am glad to listen to you. Just let me know, and I look forward to reading your comments. Thank you so much for watching this video. I really hope you enjoyed it. Please like, comment, subscribe, and turn on the notifications. If you really liked it, you can feel free to share it around, and I will catch you later.